Right then, welcome to Piggypower. Today, a little how-to, how to change your standard vehicle stereo for an aftermarket one. So, pretty simple, reasons might be multiple. This one's because it's broken, and it's just a cassette. So we want to put a CD in there. You might want to be updating it because you want Bluetooth control or something else, a fancy. The principle is going to apply to, well, almost any vehicle really. So there you go. So this vehicle is a Peugeot 406. So we've got a little cheap aftermarket stereo with a CD player in it to go in because the cassette's stuck in this one. And I bought a little kit on eBay, which includes a little adapter for the gap that's in here. It includes a little extension for the cables. It includes a little radio adapter, might need that. And a couple of radio keys, also might need those. You might need a specific key for your vehicle. You can get a whole set of keys for about £5 or £6 again on eBay. Does a bunch of different stereos. However, the kit that you get, obviously for your vehicle, may be more suitable to your vehicle. So, first thing is, well, actually first thing, you're going to need more than this, possibly. So I'm just going to show you some tools you might need. This is all you're really going to need to fit a stereo, an aftermarket stereo into a Peugeot 406. These tools came with the kit that I bought for the facia. They removed the original stereo. You probably could just poke something in there. You could probably make that up. A little screwdriver, it's always handy, and I use this to push in the new cage, all the little levers, which we'll talk about later, and an 8mm spanner. You could also have a non-ratchet or a little tiny socket, but this was very useful because you only get about 1/4 of a turn on the nuts which hold the new adapter in, which I think I've already shown you. So that's all I needed. You may need some other specific tools for your stereo, either some screws or Torx to remove the old unit, and possibly even to fit the new one, but I would recommend doing a good bit of Googling or Binging to help you to do that. So there you go, that's all you need. Let's get on with taking the old unit out. Okay, so your new stereo is likely to be this sort of shape, whether new or second hand. It's going to come in a couple of things. Obviously the main body. You're also going to have your facia, the actual thing you press all the buttons on. So I'm going to put that to one side because you might damage it. Often they've got like a little facia surround. Again, it's pretty delicate, so put that to one side. Cage. This is really important. If you're going to buy it second hand, make sure it comes with it. These can be quite expensive to buy individually, but often they'll come with the stereo. We're going to be installing this part first. And then they'll come with their own adapter. Not all vehicles have a standard ISO, which is what's on the end here. They'll have some sort of adapter plug. So make sure, again, if you buy second hand, you get a cage and you get the adapter. Now we're going to come to it a bit later on, but I don't know if you can see on the camera, there are two plugs there that are switchable, yellow and red. We'll need to determine on this vehicle which way round, but we'll show you that in a second. Basically this means that it will keep your radio receptions, your channels, your CD position, etc. And save all the settings, but it'll also turn off with the ignition rather than stay on all the time. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. The first thing we need to do is remove the original stereo. So we need to remove the old stereo. We're going to use these original keys, but we're going to bend them a little bit, like that. See that? Because there's only one slot needed. Let me show you that. So this is the original stereo. You've got one hole there and one hole there on the 406. It's likely that other stereos will have different positions and different ways of fitting. Well, this is just for the 406. A stereo will be removed. It might need other facia parts being taken off or a different adapter, but it will come off. So that's what we need to do. So we're going to put one pin in there, and then pull. So one pin in that side and push till it clicks. One pin in that side, push till it clicks, and then pull. Boom! Boom! And here's our stereo. Now in the back, I'm going to find a few connections. You just disconnect those. Aerial. So that's the aerial off. You've then got steering wheel controls, which we're going to have to do without on this car here. But I'm sure they can survive with that. We've also got CD changer controls, that's broken a long time ago. And then our two main connections, which are here, which you squeeze and pull. You can see there's a little bit of a faff. Let me just show you that. So you just need to squeeze, push on that little tab there and then pull out. And same on that one, push in the little tab and then pull out. Push in the tab, pull out. Push in the tab, then pull out. You're a bit fiddly. Push in the tab, and then pull out. Boom. Okay. So we're going to note on here, on the back, is that little adapter there. Now that new stereo doesn't come with that, which is why they gave you this adapter that plugs in the new stereo into the radio section. Let me get that for you. So, back of the new radio is a little hole, so we can get our little adapter, pop that in, and push it till it won't go any further. Notice now the same, so we can now plug our aerial into there. Notice these plugs are different to this one, which is where our wiring harness comes in, but we'll come to that in a second. Just to mention steering wheel controls here, you can buy certain adapters for certain stereos that will control those. Not all do. Do your research. If you want to use those, you're going to have to use an OEM one or an adapter. A lot of the Pioneer stereos will provide an adapter if you pay extra, obviously. This is a little cheap Sony. It cost £13 delivered. The adapters and all the wiring associated cost £7 or something. So we're talking about 30 quid basically all in. And as you see so far, it's pretty simple. Just in here is a little adapter. It's covering a couple of holes we need, so we need to get it out. So we'll do that now. Squeeze the little tabs at the top and bottom, and that thing pulls out. Brilliant. Now our new adapter will pop in, cover that hole beautifully. Now it clips in the bottom, but you notice it's a bit loose. Simple reason is there's some bolt holes there which you can just see. So we'll need to get some nuts, because I can't find in the kit any nuts for this. Likely your kit should come with them. Some just literally push in, dead simple. This one we're going to need a couple of nuts, so we're just going to go and get some nuts to fit those. Will fit. So for the 406 fitment, I had to go and find a couple of these little nuts. It's M6 with a little nylock on the end and just a little washer. That's M6 6mm nut with a washer, and I've gone for nylock just so it doesn't shake itself free. So for the M6 you're going to need 8mm spanner or a socket, but you're going to need something quite small to fit through the gap, as I'm going to show you now. So we've got our two nuts and two washers. Just tuck the wire in behind for now, don't panic about that, we can reach that, that's fine. I'm going to slot our little adapter in. 2 pegs at the top, 2 pegs at the bottom, and then the 2 pegs at the top, we're going to need that little washer on them. Take your time with this, because it's tight to get your hand in. In fact, it's really tight to get your hand in. Just work out where your thread is. And your nut. I would suggest you get a couple of spare nuts. They're literally going to be a few pence, and it might be likely you're going to end up dropping them. Okay, so I did just cut there, but you can just see, and get the light in as well, just see that bolt on the end. There we go, there he is. And the same on that side. So we'll just get a spanner on it now and do them up. Our facia surround is in place now, nice and secure, bolted in. Our next stage is to fit our cage. I don't know if that's a technical term, that's how I've always related to them. Basically your new stereo head unit is going to clip into this cage. You see all the tabs? Well, we're going to push that in the slot and then push the tabs in an outward direction. So they're going to come out like this, and that's going to hold it in secure around our new fascia we've just put in. Now what I would recommend is, if you haven't got very long fingers, and those wires all the way back, is to pull them through this cage as you slot it in. But as I can see, I can reach them without too much trouble. So cage is the next job. So let's get on with that. Get a screwdriver, flat screwdriver, and pop this in. I have found you've had to shave some adapters. Oh no, this one's just very tight because they're a bit on the tight side. You've got to be careful because the edges are super sharp. Right, once the cage is flush with the plastic edge, we want to get a screwdriver and push any of the tabs down, up and to the side that will go. Some won't because they'll be against the plastic, and some won't be any good because they'll be going to thinner. So we've got little tabs, and we're going to get a screwdriver and we're going to push them down like that. Some will go a little way, some will go a long way. Just work your way around. Some like that will be pointless because they're not going to actually make any contact with any. Some might not go at all. But you want to push them in as far as you physically can without taking your knuckles out and shaving them, because it is quite sharp, this edge, so just take care of that. And then rattle check it. And if the fascia surround moves with the cage without the cage moving at all, I'd say you've done a pretty fine job. Just going to check a few at the bottom. There we go. Okay then, so now let's move on to wiring. So we've already put a little radio adapter in. This is the adapter that came with a stereo. You could obviously buy one separately, but this thankfully came with this stereo. So we're just going to one-handedly now, just pops in like that. Probably worth checking the fuse is okay before you do this because it covers it, but I have already done that, that's fine. And then those two ends are standard ISO. Now if you look carefully at those plugs, they have a slightly different position for the clip, so you can't put them in the wrong one, so don't panic about that. And we're going to dive in here and look for our radio, which is there. It's going to play around a bit. Oh, sorry, there it is, there's the radio, and there's our two ISO clips. So we've got Ziggy coming to say hi. Oh, scary eyes. Hello, Ziggy. So notice those clips are in a slightly different position. So you've got to match those up with the cable I've got here. So let's give that a bash. So just match up the cable slot. There we go. So that one's actually the speakers. You can tell by the particular colours. I would not recommend cutting and splicing. Some do, but that is so easy. You might have just heard that this stereo just kind of popped on. So before I push this in and never can get it out again, what I suggest you do is get your fascia plate and plug it in. For two reasons. This is the first time you're going to be plugging it in where you can check it actually works. Second of all, you're going to check whether it turns on with ignition or automatically. Now, it didn't fire up straight away, so this is a good sign that the wires are the correct way around. Let's turn the ignition on. Ignition's on, stereo on. This is a good sign. So, turn it on. Right, well we've got no much radio signal at the moment, but what we can do is, what if it will seek for something? We might just have to slot it in, just to plug it into the radio, so we can get a radio station, turn it all off, and see if it saves it. So let's just try and do that right now. There we go, popped, right. Let's try that again. I don't know how much you can see, but I'll talk you through it. So we've just plugged in our face on there, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn it onto the stereo, on the radio. We're going to seek. Hopefully we'll find something. If that's plugged in okay. There we go. We have Touch FM. Let's just turn that off because I'm not allowed to put that on YouTube. We're going to hold down number 6, which is going to save it to number 6. Job done. And then we're going to hit, let's try and find a menu button, I think, somewhere. Mode. No, select. Bass. Right, let's turn the bass up. And let's turn the treble up a bit. And then what we'll do is we'll turn it off somehow. Okay, let's just turn the ignition off. Now if the cabling is the right way around, when I turn the ignition back on, it will remember the channel, which it does. Okay, if it did not do that, so let's just explain to you. If when you turn that back on, it didn't remember the radio channel, you need to swap these two wires over, the red and the yellow. If it turns on all the time and won't turn off with the ignition, again, switch these over. One's a permanent live and one is an ignition. So you need to maybe switch those around. They just pull apart and plug in together. It's as simple as that. You can check wiring, etc., but that's the easiest test. Turn the radio on, do a couple of channels and setting changes and see if they stay on when you turn turn that fan off, that's annoying. Turn the ignition on and off. So there we go. Right, so all remains to do is push this little puppy back in there. This might not be the easiest thing to do, but you have to kind of tuck the cables out at the same time. Okay, so all that remains to do is just tuck that wiring in. It's quite tricky one-handed, I've got to admit, so I am going to attempt this, but there's going to be some bad camera angles going on. Right, let's tuck you down somewhere safe. There you go. Right, turn the ignition off. So you're going to have to tuck that wiring in as you tuck... Oh, we're going to turn that thing off, that's annoying. Let's just release that out of the way so we don't damage anything. Now, if it's not going in, make sure you're 1, square, and 2, that your wiring isn't in the way. It might push so far, like it has, but won't come any further because perhaps the wiring has tucked itself in and won't get out of the way. So, way. Wasn't very clever. So you need to just tuck the wiring out of the way somewhere. Let's give that a second try. So what I'm trying to do here is get that wiring out of the way. It isn't all that easy, as you can probably see. Nice clear hole. I should have shown you that first. Right, here we go. Here's the big moment, people. Oh yeah, clipped in, going nowhere. So let's be really brave now and pop our surround on. Now these might be handed. This one it is. I don't know if you just see, but that top left corner is a little peg. Goes into that little hole up there. That just pops on and that just covers up that ugly cage. Like that. Nice and neat. So that was nice and neat there. And then we just get our front, clip that in, just like a mammoth. Oh, I haven't quite popped that in right. There we go. Love how neat that looks. Just, oh, that's perfect. Nothing gaudy. Turn the ignition on, and our stereo comes on. We just check that it's remained on the settings. Touch FM. Beautiful. Oh yeah, working beautifully. So what's left to do is turn that horrible beep off, change the clock setting, and we're done. That was how to fit a stereo, an aftermarket stereo, into its OEM position using a basic few tools. It's cost about 30 quid, maybe a couple of quid extra just to get your own tools. And you've got a stereo, CD player, maybe Bluetooth, could be all sorts of different things if you buy the right stereo. eBay was my use there. Lots of sellers do stuff on there now, and everything's free post these days, so that's great. Click here or here on my face and you can subscribe and see some other pictures and videos of stuff I do with cars. Take you out.